incredible stars from one of the most beloved and influential franchises in entertainment history. Let's give it up for Hayden Christensen. Let's hear it for Ian McDermott. For Jimmy Spade! Gentlemen, welcome. This is super exciting.
Love you all.
I think you made a mistake in my case.
Everyone's beloved in this universe. You know, the good, the bad, every character is beloved. First off, thank y'all so much for being here. What a crowd. I do want to start off because I see something on Hayden's hat. So a good question to start off with, I think, is, there's a right answer, obviously. Knicks or Spurs? How are all of us feeling it? Because I think I know one answer right here next to me.
Oh, Spurs. Oh, Spurs.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's a good answer.
Sean, I wanted to see it to go 7 games, so go Spurs tonight.
It's super exciting. Yeah, it's right behind us. It's wild. Let's just think about it. But we're all here present for Star Wars Legacy Live. We're in a room full of Star Wars fans. So I want to start off with, your welcome to the galaxy moment. For each of you, what was the first moment where you thought, okay, I'm really in Star Wars now? Right, you went through the auditioning, you went that, but where did you feel, I'm really in Star Wars, and it's kind of like a pinch me moment too?
First day on set. I mean, getting into that costume, walking in on set, hearing George Lucas call action. That was kind of as official as it gets.
Anyone else with a pinch me moment?
I turned up, they put some lenses in me and a big black cloak and let me to the top of the stairs, not unlike these. They blew a lot of smoke and then I heard the word action and I concentrated on not falling on my face.
I think it was, I got a phone call from Mr. Lucas who said, you can't have a lightsaber, but I promise that you'll have a great time, you'll have a speeder, you'll do a little bit of everything. And that was a moment I said, here we go.
You speak of, you didn't have a lightsaber obviously, but was it the costume, the set, just in general, lightsabers, the robes, the chair, or just George Lucas saying something that made it even more real for you? Something that came out of his mouth and just made this whole experience surreal, that you're part of his creation and what he delivered to the whole world.
He, as everybody knows, he's an innovator in so many different ways. And I remember us being in Australia and they had reconfigured, it was the first time that they were using the digital camera in a film. And subsequently, that's changed the way we see movies and TV, for the better and worse. But George was out there in the forefront, so to know that you were being part of not only history in terms of what the legacy of the whole Star Wars franchise, but that technologically you were doing something involved with something really was like a cool movie moment.
Yeah, George Lucas gave the world something super special and brought special people along with them. It's so great to have y'all part of that. Hayden, you have seen the love for the prequels grow in such a huge way over the years. What has been the most meaningful part of reconnecting with fans who grew up with Anakin?
Getting to come to events like these and getting to meet so many of you, it really means a lot. And you see the passion that you have for these stories and for these characters. Some of you come in with these amazing, elaborate costumes, and it's really touching, to get to be a part of something that means so much to all of you is a very special thing.
Jimmy, this is your first convention?
Yeah, first time I'm a newbie. You guys rock. You're awesome.
Jimmy, did these guys give you any advice on what you're about to enter? Because they have tons of experience with it.
Just breathe, right? That's what we gotta do. And what you were saying is about the fan. You guys know the lore more than us sometimes. I'm just very impressed. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Yeah, and it's so touching when you see like a family of you know, it's a generational thing too. So it's parents with their kids and seeing, you know, that they've connected over something that we've been a part of, and that's a very special thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of generational things, I was, if I may so refer to myself, the first time I was involved, I was 37, and then I saw that makeup, and I said to George, "What age do you think he is?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know, maybe about 80 or something." Well, now I'm 80, and that makeup was really good.
Ian, you have been part of this galaxy since a long time. This is a long time, you can say, right?
Yeah.
That's fair to say. Palpatine has become one of the most quoted villains in movie history, but when did you realize fans were having this much fun with him?
Well, it's great that you are, but I thought you'd hate me. And I still think you hate me. I'm slightly disappointed, you know, because I'm the most horrific, horrible person that ever was created. But no, I remember actually, and I'd just come back from Las Vegas, but a friend of mine who's with me today, and I were wandering around the Venetian at one point, and one of the gondoliers said, "Emperor Palpatine, we love you!" And that's when I realized that guy was not psychologically damaged. He genuinely believed it. So, but you can love a villain. And of course, here's an example of one. But,
Hayden, Anakin has so many big emotional moments, but fans also love his confidence, his swagger, sometimes even his awkwardness. What side of Anakin was the most fun for you to play?
I mean, all of it, you know. It's such a great character, and it was such a privilege to get to play him. But I think the part that I probably enjoyed the most was getting to make that transition to the dark side, you know. There are sort of very specific points in the two films that I got to be a part of, where you see you know, a loss of innocence, and you see his struggles sort of growing, and that was the stuff that I think I enjoyed the most. And the young one.
Ian, Palpatine is terrifying, but he also looks like one of the most fun characters in the entire galaxy to play. So what was the most enjoyable part for you playing someone that evil?
yeah, well, it was, I mean, I got to develop it sort of backwards, really, you know. I mean, I thought there was this old guy who seemed to be in charge, and I'd seen Empire Strikes Back, and I'd listened to him being referred to in the very first Star Wars movie. But I had no idea what he was like, and you know, George, the thing about George was, he doesn't fill you in with a lot of detail. He casts you, you think you're okay. If you're not going along the right lines, he'll say something, but by and large, he just lets you go. And also, he doesn't tell you what's going to happen in the future. I mean, I had no idea that I was Darth Sidious. No idea that I was going to be in the prequels. What's a prequel? I remember thinking. And then I had no idea that I wasn't dead. So it's been a journey, but I think I'm dead now. But don't quote me.
You never know in this world, that's for sure. And Jimmy, you know, Bail Organa is one of those characters who doesn't need a lightsaber to be cool. He walks with that calm. Zach, let's hear it for that. He walks in with calm confidence, great robes, and a plan. You know, what did you enjoy most about playing Power in a quieter way?
Power in a quiet way. I mean, I think that the character exudes this thing of hope, even when the political situation looks like it's not going to go that way. So that there is a breath of hope that George gave the character and hopefully the lore of the franchise as well.
And you look good doing it too.
Okay, well that's the costume.
Yeah, well, the Star Wars costumes look amazing on screen, but I'm sure they're not always as easy to work in. So, who really had the best costume and who had the hardest one to do? I think we know who had the hardest one to deal with, right?
Yeah, I got the best costume, obviously. Well, not to begin with, but as it went on, from Chancellor to Supreme Leader and so on, I got some of the best costumes ever made. And they were very detailed work costumes, and the designer got them from all over the world, and I was tailored here and tailored there. And I was surprised that they were so detailed. And George says, no, he's getting powerful and he gets better suits. And every night an office would appear, where we would sometimes meet our two characters, and they get bigger. And he said, yes, that is a sign of success. You always get the bigger office. And they were real. They were not, they were digital bits and pieces in them, but by and large, they were very big sets, which was also exciting because we weren't used to sets all the time because we had the green screen. But then the biggest excitement was when he said, we're not going to go to the final office. We're now in Revenge of the Sith. We're going to go to the theater because, I know you like that. I don't think that was the only reason. But we're going to have this scene in the Opera House, and that's where Palpatine finally, irrevocably persuades this person to turn to the dark side. So that was a sort of wonderful situation. And I realized that there was one good thing that could be said about Palpatine, and that was that he loved theater.
And what a joy that was for me to get to be in that scene with you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't have too much to do. I just had to sit there and listen.
Oh, you did.
And just listening to Ian tell this story, I was in awe, and that was one of my favorite things to get to do in Star Wars was that scene with Ian.
Well, that goes for me too. That's my favorite scene in all the movies, the ones I was concerned in. And it was, you know how things are shot. It's on you sometimes, and close-ups, various angles, and then it's on the other actor. And it was a late Friday afternoon, and we didn't have any time to rehearse the scene. You were busy, doing all this fight workouts and so on. And I had a day on the set early on where machines. I think it was the day when absolute power came out of my lungs. And I may add, because there were 4 wind machines being driven towards me, which was exciting, Keep your hair on was a literal thing that, the makeup department had to cope with. And I also got a lot of that stuff in my throat. And there was a lot of dialogue, very unusual for a Star Wars movie. And good dialogue, I really wanted to work with it. It was late on a Friday afternoon, and everyone's a bit tired in Australia, looking forward to a nice weekend. So concentration, apart from this guy here, was not absolute. Phones would go off. Thank you, Mr. Producer. But on we went. And strangely enough, with that kind of pressure, it became easier to do because you had to give it maximum concentration. But nothing would have happened if I hadn't had his eyes throughout that scene. And so we did get that side of it in the can before the weekend, and then we were back on with Hayden on the Monday.
What a great scene y'all have had together. And yeah, applaud that, please. Hayden, you joined this world that has all these great veteran actors. What is something you kind of picked on early on that you've kept with you throughout, with all these scenes that you've exchanged with such great talent and talent that's been there for a long time and really given us some great performances?
I mean, the whole thing was an incredible learning experience for me. I was a young buck, sort of trying to find my way, and I felt like I was stepping into the ring with all these heavyweights, and I was just trying to keep up, you know. But yeah, I mean, every day it was an incredible learning experience, and I think what I took away the most was just how to try to do it with grace, because George really put together a really great group of people. Everyone was so nice, and you do your work, but there was just a really sort of special camaraderie and kindness that was always shared, and I think that goes a long way, you know. So even though we're sometimes playing the baddie, when they call cut, it's all smiles and handshakes and hugs.
I'm sure y'all can probably provide some different answers on maybe based on your experiences, but what is one thing about filming Star Wars that looks glamorous on screen, but you know, it actually is awkward, uncomfortable, or hilarious in real life?
Most of it. No. Well, just because of the nature of how George was creating it, it was so digitally intensive. We were always filming in front of a blue screen or a green screen, sometimes with a bit of a set component to it. But you know, we would start a scene, and they would show us, you know, a previs, you know, a very sort of rough animatic of what George was going for, but you didn't really know what it was going to look like. And sometimes you're acting to CGI characters that aren't even there. You know, a lot of times it's just like a tennis ball on a C-stand.
Oh yeah,
for an eye line with an AD reading the lines off camera.
If you were lucky, yeah.
Yeah. And then you go to see the film eventually, and you're like, oh, that's what it looks like, and that was an incredible experience. It was, you know, we kind of got to experience it sort of the same way that you guys did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're sort of seeing the film for the first time, you know, when you were all seeing it in opening week. You think, my God, did I do that? And sometimes you didn't. The editor had done it, you know. And also, one of the great things about seeing the movie complete is the great contribution from John Williams. Phrases it in a wonderful original way. And of course you knew that was going to happen, but you had no idea what it was going to sound like until you actually heard it.
You guys have a concept of what green screen is in the background, but to walk into a soundstage, like a humongous soundstage, and the total thing is just green all over during that time. And the thing that impressed me so much is that George had these bleachers with the different craftspeople that were in charge of animation or the background, and somebody could show you more or less what it was going to be, like, as opposed to just say, now just imagine. Well, you have to imagine as an actor, but he always had that technical support there that I really appreciated.
It's true.
You kind of answered my question. I was going to ask you, you came from television and doing these films and just walking those green screens, so you just shared that experience, and it kind of was a big wonder to you just seeing that. It's totally different than doing television.
And then to work on Obi-Wan recently when the whole digital thing has completely changed and we're on a soundstage that has these television kind of LED screens with the exact background there moving. We've come a long way.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage. If we'd had that, I don't know if it would have been any different, but it would have felt better. Ewan would have been happier.
So I gotta say, we got some unfortunate news from the dark side that Hayden has to depart, and it's gonna be a panel of 3. So I wanted to end on this note of last words to this amazing group here, and how soon can we see you back into this world? Because we're not done with you.
Yeah, I just want to say it's really great to be here, and I've really enjoyed the last couple of days. I'll be back again tomorrow, but I am going to go try to catch the second half of the Spurs game.
He's gotta represent us! He's gotta
Anakin will be back in Ahsoka season 2. So.
Let's say farewell to Hayden. May I approach you closer?
If you dare.
Yeah, you all scoot down this way, actually. This would be better.
Sure.
Very good. So yeah, Hayden's gonna head over there, maybe use some of that force power, and we're gonna get that win tonight, right? I do want to reflect a little bit on George Lucas, because he does get a lot of praise, but I can feel like we can give him praise every day forever, because what he has created and given this world has been amazing. When you speak to him and he talks Star Wars with you, is there something that you're enamored with? It's just how he approaches the entertainment and giving fans what they want and really delivering some really great...
That the prequels were going to move things forward in terms of audiences. And he did say early on, said, well, maybe the generation, his generation, my generation really, who saw the original movies will be a bit picky. And they were actually. But the kids weren't. The kids were completely knocked out by it. And he said, well, you know, I make these films for everybody, but if an 8-year-old's happy, I'll feel I've done my work. And that's what happened with the prequel.
Well, Jimmy, for you, your experiences dealing with George Lucas and having him bring you into this world.
Well, the thing that I think was interesting is that he had it in his head though, about where it was going, even though we didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, he worked it all through, and sometimes it was good that he didn't tell you things. Occasionally you might want to know a little more. But, and also, I don't know about your script, Jimmy, mine arrived very late. And of course, we like to get, you know, as we say, under our belts or learn it early. But when they did arrive, they were never changed, or hardly. And if you wanted to change it, I mean, George would listen to a good argument, but you'd have to make a good argument. But a lot of that was to do with he wasn't precious about the dialogue, far from it really. But a lot of the stuff he'd written was cued to the digital work that was going on at the same time. So after a day's shoot, you know, our stuff would be sent off, and the digital guys had various points to work to. So it was as much a science as an art to George, and also it was the beginning of this new science you were saying earlier, Jimmy, the beginning of the digital age in movies. And it was experimental. I mean, they knew what might happen, they knew what might not, but they were on the edge of something new. And that's always been George's story, quite apart from making the great story of Star Wars. He's always been interested in movie history advancing.
Absolutely.
And that's what was, you know, one of the great things about it. And I remember before he decided to give the company to Disney, and I know that must have been a very hard decision, but it was a time in his life where he felt it was the right thing to do. But before that, he was talking about, I think I can tell you now, a television series, and we didn't think about Star Wars in terms of television series, very speculative. And we had lunch one day, and he said, no, I've got this idea, and I hope you might want to be involved. We could sort of follow the Emperor's progress like Hitler's. So that's good. You know. There might be an assassination attempt, you know, and of course it wouldn't succeed. And it sounded really exciting. And he also said, and maybe you can direct one. And then I fainted. But sadly that didn't come to pass. But sort of everything he predicted did. And he also said, we're waiting for the right cameras. So that these, and no doubt the kind of screens you've just been talking about, small cameras that can move fast. But he said, at the moment, I can't make it work financially. Now, you know, he had enough money to make movies, we all know that. But he said, if I can't see this working in a way that will not lose money, then that's fundamentally a reason not to make it. So they're, you know, the shrewd, sensible, hard-headed businessman as well. He's just so multifaceted.
We miss George.
Yeah, we do.
He's busy building that museum. Have y'all seen?
Yeah, it's just about to open. That's
Have
exciting.
y'all seen that? The museum that's opening soon? That looks amazing. And Ian, you know, what did George want you to understand about the man before the monster fully takes over? What notes did he give you on that and that journey?
He just said, oh, you know, he's a politician, you know, as if that explained a lot, which it did, frankly. But he said, look, we don't know, you know. It was pretty obvious that I was also Darth Sidious, even though I didn't know it till about a week before. But he said, as the politician, we shouldn't see really anything in his face that sort of points towards what he's going to become. And he said he might smile a little more than usual. But that was great too. He said a very good thing. The most helpful thing I've heard, really, to an actor. He said, well, knowing that there's this creature underneath who will eventually burst forth, why don't you think of your face, Ian's face, your own face, the face you're presenting to the camera as a senator, as a mask? And underneath it is this horrible thing that I promise you will emerge dramatically, you know, later on, as it did in Revenge of the Sith. And that was hugely helpful. It didn't mean I was going to do anything, but I just thought of my face as not real. That was a very good note.
No, great note. And Jimmy, for you, what did George Lucas give you early on that helped you understand Bale's place in the story?
So, I, as a young person, saw Alderaan, as a fan, saw Alderaan get destroyed, right? Little did I know that I was going to be part of that in some way. But I think the little nuggets that you talked about with regards to hope, with regards to political situations where power corrupts, it just kind of infused me with a center to the guy, and the love to take on Leia, which that you would be seeing later on. So all of those things, all those little nuggets that he would give, were always helpful.
Yeah, and your character is connected to one of the most important pieces of Star Wars history because he helps raise Leia, like you just mentioned. There we go. What do you think, though, that Leia inherited from Bale?
So I think that he has a spunkiness that I got from seeing her that I wanted to keep in as an interior engine for my guy.
No, I love that. So for you, Ian, because you've been there a very long time.
Yes,
you
keep
bring a lot
saying
of
that, keep saying
perspective. You bring some perspective. That's why I love having you here. Do you remember the first time you saw a finished Star Wars scene early on, and then compare it to kind of the first 3 episodes, and how that kind of changed up? Oh, this is what we're making, and kind of a difference in technology too, because you saw everything change in front of your eyes too.
It's what Jimmy was saying. I mean, you know, when we came to do the prequels. The first one, of course, Phantom Menace, was done in England. It got the background, I mean, the studio background got better when we went to Australia because they were new studios that we were inhabiting down at Leavesden. Now they're very famous and very well equipped. The whole Harry Potter series was done there. But they were still building the sets when we were doing Phantom Menace. You know, and scaffolding poles would come crashing down, and the first thing you naturally think you'd stop for a moment because that might not be very helpful. And the first assistant said, "No, mate, just keep going, and we did, and of course they fixed it all later. And the most interesting thing for me was, I think it's true that all of the picture, or most of the pictures before the prequels, were revoiced. We were always in the studio anyway later, syncing our own voices. And that was because the sound quality wasn't anything like it is now. Now, of course, it's tremendous. And this sort of thing you might do on set will remain in the film, but it couldn't before. And down at Leavesden, it was fairly chaotic and really hard to concentrate. But also we knew, and I dare say it was cheap, But we knew that we were at the beginning of something new, so we were enthusiastic about it. I mean, it's interesting what you say, Jimmy, earlier on. I mean, we always felt we were in something that nobody was entirely in charge of, and that was half of the excitement, even though sometimes it could be difficult.
Want to talk about the difficult parts? No. Jimmy, for you, you've obviously been part of those prequels, and then you talked about being part of the show. What was the biggest difference for you, jumping from Star Wars films and then doing the recent television? What was the biggest difference for you getting back there, just on a maybe filming aspect of it too, and just coming on set and seeing something totally different?
Well, George is not there, so that was a difference. But the technological advances that have been made, like I referenced before with regards to all the LED screens and all of that, it just, technically it made it, easier on the imagination kind of level. But what you guys know that they archive, they're talking about the museum, they archive everything. And I really appreciated that, like with regards to costumes and props and stuff, they have everything that we had used in those prequels on the TV show, and it was like sacred to them in a way, that they had to keep the continuity going. And I think that's something that you guys can see when you're watching the series. And I think listening to what people have said online, when it strays a little bit, you guys have something to say about it too. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. It's interesting. So yeah, when I did the little hologram appearance in the Obi-Wan series, we were in London and the director was up early in LA. That was how it was done, which was fine. And the costume arrived, and I think it was a costume I'd worn before, which was great. And they were only going to shoot from here, as you probably remember. And so the costume designer said, "Oh my God, we haven't got the right slippers." I said, "But nobody will see." "That's not the point," she said. That's a wonderful designer to be. She wanted the feeling from her point of view, and therefore of mine, should be absolutely right.
That make you realize that you're in the world.
That's right, and we found something that was pretty close to what I originally had.
Those slippers comfortable?
Oh yes, of course.
Did you take them with you home?
Yes. No, you don't take anything with you.
You don't take anything.
No, it's all archived, as Jimmy was saying.
I mean, they're slippers. They can
Yes, no, take your hands off it. Don't take that home. There'll be somebody visiting you at the end of the scene, okay?
Jimmy, for you, can you talk about the emotional aspect of returning to that character for the series as well? And how did you feel just returning to that world, being pretty far apart from it, because a lot of time has passed?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that we were able to see Leia in this young version and see where we already had known what she's going to grow up to be. So to watch her in this very young little flower version, it was fascinating to me that the audience was going to be able to partake in that.
Do you prefer being in a Star Wars movie or show? Or do you like anything Star Wars? More of you in anything Star Wars?
The franchise is a franchise. It lives. It's going to live on in all. I hope it's not going to go just to be on people's phones, but But it's, you guys know when you go see a movie and you're able to partake with many people and see it on the big screen. It's really. It takes your breath away, right?
Yeah.
We want more Star Wars on the big screen, right?
And you sort of got to be alone with a lot of people in the dark, I always say. It's great, they're there, but and provided the popcorn supplies, run out and things like that, the attention is something else. Well, it's a theatre, and when people go to the theatre, they attend, So no distractions, no getting up and making a cup of coffee or whatever. That's important.
We're talking movies, so let's talk theater snacks. What's your go-to type of popcorn, butter, candy, and beverage of choice then?
Oh, I don't like any of that. It's not because I'm, a pure vegetarian Scot or something like that. But it's just, I remember, it was, what was it? We were in London for the premiere of, was it Attack of the Clones? No, I think it was Revenge of the Sith. And Christopher Lee was along the row, and as I was coming down to sit, he said, "Beware the popcorn." Because someone had sprayed quite a lot of it along the seats. So that's never been my first love.
For you, Jim.
I'm a Raisinets guy.
Raisinets. Question here, though, follow-up. I do have a follow-up. I have it written here, actually.
Okay, exciting.
Milk chocolate or dark chocolate, Raisinets? Milk chocolate.
Yeah, dark is better for you.
I do want to ask this little fun question here is, what's your favorite Star Wars quote that's not your own?
Oh.
You didn't know where that was going.
Yeah, I didn't know where that was going. Go on, Jimmy.
Anything to do with the dark side. And when the dark side is meant.
Yeah, well, I've got a whole list of favorite quotes. You remind me of them daily, but they're all to do with my character, and it just now put me on the spot. I can't think of any of the others. I think there are certain sounds like, you know, a terrible scream when people have been thrown down pits and things like that will always live in my memory.
I love hearing that. So that's a certain sound you like that stuck with you in Star Wars.
Yes, I do, and also because I know it's hard to do. And if it's real, which usually it is, before it's digitally improved, you know, in seconds.
Well, Jimmy, what's a sound effect maybe that you like that's part of Star Wars that just...
Oh well, when a lightsaber comes on.
Oh yeah.
Come on, let me see these lightsabers.
Where are lightsabers? Light them up! Light them up!
That's the best.
There we go.
The best sound ever.
And also, maybe later, if you behave. The thing about the sound of the saber to what, you may remember I did get a chance to wield one at one point, is when you're rehearsing or even doing the takes sometimes, you know, they're just like you've got at the moment, they're white, they're not going to light them later. And if you're not too careful, you go zoom. No, don't do that, we do that later. Oh, okay. Zoom.
Ian, I want to ask you this. If Palpatine could sit down for one honest conversation with any Star Wars character, who would you pick?
He wouldn't do that. He hasn't got an honest bone in his body. No, I don't know, honest conversations. Well, he has them all the time because by and large, except when he's being political, it suits him to say what he thinks. You know, and he has the power to do it. He may change his mind tomorrow. Oh, I'm getting on a familiar track. Yeah, I better stop. Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, if you could insert your character into one Star Wars scene that was not originally part of, you know, what scene would you choose to insert him into?
Oh, any scene that the adult Princess Leia was in.
Oh, yeah.
And what about for you, Ian? Where would you want to insert yourself in a scene that wasn't obviously originally in part?
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult, really. I understand what you've said, because we don't see the romantic side of Palpatine, do we? So, but I suppose, you know, what you've just mentioned in other scenes, he's watching all the time. Because let's not pretend he's not a voyeur. You know?
So is he using any dating apps?
What are those?
I mean, I'm curious if that's in the Star Wars world, if there would be one.
No.
If you could name the dating app in the Star Wars world, what would you name it?
I don't know. Please me. What are you encouraging me to do? These people are recording this on their phone.
I'm feeding off your energy. I'm getting it from you. You talked about you can't really take anything off set, but
Yeah.
what is if you could only pick one item you can walk off with and no one really cared, what is the one and only item you would take? Goes for both of you.
Jeremy? Oh.
I would steal a lightsaber.
Well, I liked my gnarled old steak. I didn't quite want that, but you know, they wouldn't let me, so I've got over it. Maybe it'll be at the museum and I can go and look at it. Voyeur again, you see.
As we wrap up, first off, I want to thank everyone for being here. I know there's an awesome game, but there's also an awesome panel being held here. I want to end with this last question, Jimmy and Ian. In one word, how would your character describe their entire Star Wars journey?
Oh, that's an easy one. I don't know. One word. Successful.
Yeah.
That's Palpatine I'm talking about. I don't believe he's dead. How
No
could
one's
I?
truly dead in Star Wars. Well, maybe some. How about you, Jimmy?
Honorable, I guess.
Oh.
Yes.
I think, just to say, I and Palpatine traded on the honourable nature of Bail Organa, you know, to wend his way up the power ladder. You know, because even if it's your enemy and he recognizes it as your enemy, he can be used, you know.
Okay, so I gotta say this.
Oh,
So
look.
I hadn't worked with Ian. I was in the franchise and hadn't worked, and this was my first day. This is when I met Ian. We were working on a scene together. And that was, you mentioned little Star Wars moments. In this scene, we were together on the platform.
We were up this big
We were up on the
yeah.
platform. I was looking at him during the scene, and there was the camera was moving very close on him. And I said, "This is it. I'm in Star Wars. You gotta sign this for me."
Full circle moment. Thank you very much, Ian and Jimmy. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.